Hello, my name is Chad Boothe. Amongst other things, I'm a father to a 12-year-old daughter. My 12-year-old daughter likes to tell me that all of her friends at school have a cell phone. I did some research on my own and I found, according to Teens and Technology report issued on March of this year, from the Berkman Center for Internet and Society at Harvard University, actually only 78% of teens aged 12 to 17 have a cell phone. Even more exciting is 47% of those have a smartphone, which means that 37% of all teens aged 12 to 17 are the owners of a smartphone. So why is that important? Well, I feel that smartphones are really gaining in popularity. Matter of fact, over the last 2 years, smartphones have increased as far as ownership between 12 and 17-year-olds by 15%. So it's time to really start taking a look at how does that affect schools, and it brings me to the question, or contemplating the question, should cell phones be allowed in schools? So before we consider that question, and before we start thinking about how I'm going to spend my finances in the future, I'd like to talk about the pros and cons of cell phones in school. Start out with the pros. The pros really start out with communication. The second one is going to be safety, and the third one is technology. Communication really gives an opportunity for students to get a hold of their parents and let them know, hey, I'm going to stay after school, or I'm going to be late with sports. Safety gives them the opportunity to let their parents know where they're at if they're at a place that they're unfamiliar with. Safety also gives them an opportunity, or parents an opportunity, to track their students through the use of GPS technology. That brings us to the third pro, which is technology. Technology in cell phones is amazing. Some of the technology is being able to speak to world events that are extremely important in the learning environment as of right now. Technology also allows students to use cell phones to double as cameras. You can take cameras on field trips, you can take your cell phone with cameras to do photo essays, and you could record your own speeches. A very helpful benefit that cell phones provide. The third one is cell phones have apps such as Castle, which provide teachers the opportunity to poll students, and the students can share those results with the teacher by texting their answers. So with all those positives, what are the cons? Well, I have a few cons, and they're number one, distracting, number two, deceitful, and number three is going to be damaging. Starting with distracting. When the phone rings or vibrates, really it takes that attention away from not only the student, but the student next to the student, and the other students that are paying attention to the students that aren't paying attention. So it takes a lot away from all of the students in the classroom, and it's also very disrespectful to the teacher. The other part of distracting is sometimes there's texting, or at this age they're even doing sexting. Well, that's very inappropriate, and not only can they not keep their attention, now they've really lost it. Leading me to something what I call the second D, or deceitful. Well, I talked about cell phones having camera capabilities. One of the deceitful things that cameras or cell phones with cameras can do, students have figured out technology. They can take pictures of a test and forward it to their friends in another class. Other students can take pictures of a question, send that to their smarter friends, and their friends can text them back the answer. Even more deceitful or scary is cell phones have the capability of maybe going into the opposite sex locker room, which leads me to damaging. Photos like that not only are damaging to the students, but also the reputation. This also leads into cyberbullying, threats, and jealousy. Some of the other damaging items are cell phones are expensive. Well, not only are they expensive to maintain, however, they're also expensive when you start thinking about only 37% of students aged 12 through 17 have them. It really creates a status symbol, meaning that there's 37% of haves and 63% of have-nots. The third one that's damaging is professional. And what I mean by that, if you learn that being able to text in classrooms and being able to share this information is okay in school, well, what are you learning when you go into the real world? Say a cashier at a grocery store. Is the customer important, or is texting more important? So that brings me to pros of communication and technology and safety, and then it has the cons of being distracting, deceitful, and damaging. When you start thinking about that, any more schools have more computers, that really solves the technology issue. As far as communication, it's a known fact that if you're texting, you're not really practicing one-on-one communication, and that certainly is a miss going into the future of America. So after I weigh out the pros being really just safety, that means the cons outweigh the pros. So if we want our kids to be respectful and responsible, something that we can certainly argue for is to make sure that cell phones are not allowed in school. Thank you.